The Big Bang Theory is more than just a hit show. It's a cultural phenomenon.
That's brilliant. It's what I do.
But creating it wasn't always smooth sailing. The cast had to follow various rules and restrictions. Watch this video to uncover why the show's first pilot was ditched. Which rule Kaley, Johnny, and Jim chose to break for the greater good, and why the TBBT gang changed so little throughout the series. Let's go. Forget about the pilot. Incredibly, TBBT was nearly canceled from the get-go, all because the original script was a far cry from the show we know and love. It focused solely on Sheldon and Leonard, with no sign of Raj, Howard, or Penny. Instead, the female lead was Katie, but she was a somewhat unpleasant character who didn't resonate with the test audience.
Allow me to explain it to you in your language. Nerdish.
Leonard and Sheldon's personalities were also quite different. For instance, the quirky genius had a much more crude and adult sense of humor. Thankfully, the creators recognized the flaws in the original pilot and made significant changes. And this time, they introduced the new characters of Raj, Howard, and Penny. However, the newcomers were treated a bit differently than the original cast and had to follow the next strict rule: don't outshine the stars. You might have noticed a specific order on the show's posters. Jim Parsons, Johnny Galecki, and Kaley Cuoco were always up front. Simon Helberg and Kunal Nayyar went next, while Mayim Bialik and Melissa Rauch were placed last. These positions reflected their billing hierarchy. The big three were at the top, followed by Simon and Kunal. Mayim and Melissa joined later, and were initially paid dramatically less. In the final 2 seasons, though, the gang's placement became more varied, but only after several stars managed to break an unfair rule: fixed salaries. Fans loved the cast all the same. Still, the lead trio's paychecks were considerably bigger.
Interesting.
However, Kaley, Jim, and Johnny recognized the value of their co-stars. At some point, they agreed to take a pay cut so that others could get a more balanced wage. So, for example, instead of $1 million per episode, they got $900,000. And the others finally received a pay raise. That compromise strengthened the bond between the cast members and made one particular star feel valued, as she had to work more than others according to the following rule: double-check everything. On screen, there were plenty of scientists on the Big Bang.
Someone's tampered with my equations.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure. Look at the beta function of quantum chromodynamics. The sign's been changed.
In real life, the only scientist on the set was Mayim Bialik, and she had the crucial task of ensuring the scientific accuracy of the show. Every detail, from the dialogue to the equations on the whiteboards, had to be checked.
Pretty cool, huh?
With all that jargon, no wonder that the cast had to strictly follow the next rule: no ad-libbing. Many shows encourage actors to riff and improvise, but The Big Bang Theory was a stickler for the script. Melissa Rauch explained,
"Because we shoot in front of a live audience, it's basically like doing a filmed piece of theater."
And while the main cast adhered to this rule, some recurring actors proved to be more rebellious. For instance, Will Wheaton. Remember when he came to the new Star Wars movie premiere dressed like Spock? He completely improvised that, as well as the next line.
Yeah, live long and suck it.
Some other unscripted moments proved too funny to cut, like Amy's outrageous reaction to her tiara.
Apparently Oh, it's a tiara! A tiara! I have a tiara! Put it on me, put it on me, put it on me!
Or Bernadette's squeaky voice.
This is so exciting! Isn't this exciting?
Another rebel who managed to improvise was Kevin Sussman. Early in the show, Stewart went on a date with Penny and then ad-libbed a line.
I love you.
The audience loved his delivery so much that the character underwent changes. Initially, Stewart was meant to be an ordinary bit part. But after Sussman's improvisation, he was tweaked to be more troubled and desperate. Moreover, he was made a regular. Apart from sticking to the script, there's one more thing that wasn't supposed to change: keep the look. Every Big Bang character had a very distinct and consistent style. Sheldon's layered shirts, Raj's vests, Leonard's hoodies, Howard's turtlenecks and tight pants. Such an unchanging style helped to make the characters more memorable. And if someone suddenly looked different, that would mean something huge.
I don't care. Put it back.
I like the way I look.
Well, I don't.
In fact, Penny was pretty much the only character who showed any diversity in her clothing style. There was also a more practical reasoning for this rule. It streamlined the costume design process, saving time and resources. In addition to their clothing choices, the male actors were not allowed to change their hairstyles. To make their characters look neat but slightly immature, all the guys had to keep their hair short and faces clean-shaved. An exception was made for only one episode where they came back from the North Pole. In real life, most of the actors liked to let their beards grow, which they did between seasons. And we're moving on to the next rule. DC only. Have you ever noticed that whenever the gang dressed up as superheroes, they'd never choose Marvel-owned ones? Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, or The Flash, they are all the DC characters.
Aquaman sucks.
That was made on purpose. TBBT ran on CBS, which is part of Warner Brothers, the same as the DC Cinematic Universe. So the studio had rights to them. While getting licensing from Marvel would have been a complex process, likely involving significant costs. Although die-hard fans might recall now that Raj once dressed up as Thor.
Oh, Thor, he's hot.
But no, that was the Norse god, not the Marvel version of him. Still, the show managed to pull off an iconic cameo with Stan Lee. Now let's talk about more mundane rules for the cast. No food while you work. If you're a fan of the show, you know how the Big Bang characters loved Chinese food. Why not something like hamburgers, you ask? Because with them, it's tricky to maintain continuity. Also, it's distracting for viewers when they notice food portions changing in between shots. The showrunners wanted to keep things authentic, so they used real food whenever there was a scene of the gang chowing down. And all of it was freshly made and actually delicious.
It's okay, this tastes so good.
Unfortunately, most of the time, the actors couldn't enjoy it. After all, they were there to act, not to eat, right? And if they tried to do both at the same time, it would create situations like these.
Can't let this kid get to you.
What about a mouthful of rice?
But I think we may.
Kunal Nayyar once shared that they always had to ensure they weren't chewing anything when they had to say a line. Still, Kaley Cuoco just couldn't resist but break this rule. The actress revealed,
I must be the only one who really eats the food. I save my appetite until we do those scenes.
And here's the last rule for the entire Big Bang Theory cast. Keep the show in the spotlight. It's a common practice for the actors to give interviews and attend different events. Sometimes the cast members do it together. It definitely can be an enjoyable pastime.
You've given me delectable recipes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you Arabian pretty
But usually it serves a more practical purpose, to generate buzz and attract viewers. What's more, the actors also have to be on social media nowadays and use them to promote their work. That's why you sometimes can't find too many photos of their family and loved ones there. However, after the show is concluded, its stars continue to share about their experiences. This helps to maintain fan engagement and keep the TBBT legacy alive. And sometimes it's because of the sweet memories they cherish.
I will miss many, many things about this. You know, hundreds of people working together to create something, which is always the most magical part.
Even now, many of the Big Bang stars still post behind-the-scenes photos from the good old days, which is totally understandable. It's never too late to say at least a few kind words about the show that put them on the map.
The writing was unbelievable. Obviously, the cast, we had great chemistry from the beginning, and it just, and a little bit of luck, you know?
And do you miss the Big Bang as much as we do? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.